Hey y'all, welcome back to Vlogmas. Today is Vlogmas day 19. I personally can't believe it is this close to Christmas, and if you're counting down like us, then you're also watching the Danish Julekalender special. And today we're going to be talking about that video and what our reactions have been to it so far.
That's right, and if you've been with us all this way, good job sticking around with us. But if you're new, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Mike, and I have the biggest teeth and the ugliest clothes.
And my name is Derek. I can jump and run, and it's really, really fun. So let's get into Vlogmas Day 19.
So to start, probably not all of our viewers know what a Uula Calendar is, but you probably noticed that so many things in Denmark have a countdown during Christmas where you get something, a little chocolate or a beer or a candle that burns down every single day. And so there's also TV shows that are the same. So the Uula Calendar as a TV series started, it seems, in Sweden in the early 1960s. And it started in Denmark in 1962 with the first one, Historia fra Hela Världen, so stories from around the world. The Uula Calendar that we're going to watch, though, comes from the early 90s.
Yeah, and the Uula Calendar is basically a Christmas special that's split into 24 15-minute segments, and you watch it every day leading up to the Danish celebration of Christmas on the 24th.
Yeah, and usually the themes are going to be around how somebody has to save Christmas, or, you know, they're usually geared towards children, but there's also been some that are purely for adults as well.
Yeah, and don't forget, even the ones that are geared towards children actually have little snippets that are funny jokes that the adults will laugh at.
Yeah.
So I guess overall they're a bit like what Hallmark does in the United States around Christmas and releases a ton of Christmas content and specials, except these ones are all telling the same story leading up to Christmas Day. And this story has a little bit of sentimental value to us because it's one that we actually started watching the first Christmas that we lived here in Denmark during our Danish classes.
Yeah, that's where we learned that it's hard to be a Nisse man, because we got to watch some of the clips from a couple of the different episodes as we were having our own little Julefrokost celebration in the Danish class right there. This is also the perfect Uula Calendar for us to watch because honestly, most of it's in Danglish. So it's a little bit easier for us to follow because at least the half of the story that takes place with the Nisse, they speak honestly mostly English with Danglish kind of built in. And honestly, the other part that takes place entirely in Danish, the Danish isn't that complex that we couldn't follow it along. Plus, it's a lot of physical comedy, so even the words that we don't get, the story kind of tracks.
Yeah, if you didn't know a lick of Danish, you would probably be able to follow the story pretty closely because a lot of the wordplay is based on English and Danish words. But knowing those Danish expressions does make it a bit easier. Plus, a lot of the jokes repeat themselves, and you can kind of tell from the facial expressions of the characters the point that they're trying to convey.
So we actually watched the Uula Calendar in traditional fashion, one episode at a day at a time on TV2. And in truth, that's how these Uula Calendars normally are, is that the different two national networks, either DR or TV2, they'll produce every year, second year, third year, a new Uula Calendar special. And the years that they don't have a new one to show, they'll replay the old favorites that people want to watch as well. So we're watching this Uula Calendar almost as the way it would have aired originally, though 30 years after the fact. So while our Danish audience can probably recite the entire story of the Uula Calendar chapter and verse, our non-Danish audience probably has no idea what we're talking about. So at a very basic level, the plot, kind of the backstory in this whole thing is that there was some fight between two different kinds of Nisse, the Nisse and the Nossa. And the Nisse have been eradicated to somewhere in America, and one of the older ones, who's named Gammel Nok, which means old enough, is on his deathbed, and he needs to be saved and have his life played in a music box, and so he sends these three other Nisse over back to Denmark to go find a key so he can start the music box again. At least I think that's what the story is based on our Danish.
Yeah. So again, our Danish isn't super good, but you don't need to be a native Danish speaker to follow this story that closely. So while the Nisse story is unraveling, there's also a second story which you see in parallel. And that is of a Danish couple living on a potato farm in Jutland. And they have a really funny relationship and a lot of repeated jokes during the early episodes. And then eventually you meet a stranger that knocks on their door. And he is saying at least that his car broke down coming from Copenhagen and he needs to come inside to escape a storm, and meets the couple and has some interactions with them.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny with the plot because there's a lot of kind of running gags, like you said, on that. With the Nisa, they seem to always break into song and dance as they're in the cave. And the one guy is always trying to rebuild the propeller from a block of wood, and he doesn't advance very far. He just says that he's going from a Nisa man to a Snitta man, a cutting man in that way. But they break into song and dance, they find beer, and they drink, and it's a whole bunch of fun stuff. And same thing, the couple, they have running gags where they keep saying the same stuff. You know, Olaf is always smoking his pipe.
Yeah, and Gertrude wants a food processor.
She's always talking to her sister on the phone. Yeah. So it's fun. It's kind of ridiculous in that way.
Yeah, so you definitely have a sense of dread about the stranger who knocks on the door. And in fact, based on different things that we've picked up, we kind of have an idea where the story is going. But so far in what we've watched, the two stories have not come together yet. But we have a feeling that that's going to happen, and that the stranger is actually a bit of a darker character. So what do you think of the story so far?
So the first one is that the story, you can tell, it's kind of like the Muppets back home, where it operates at two different levels, where you have kids that can enjoy watching it because it's kind of slapstick. The Nisa are cute and dance and sing, and the expressions in everybody are super fun. It's very physical comedy in that way. But then on the other hand, you also have some really clever wordplay, like how Benny, the visitor from Copenhagen, is floored that Olaf's father is named Anders, and his name is Anders Sands, which sounds like Anders And, which is Donald Duck in Denmark.
Yeah.
There's also the part where they're talking about this guy named Cook, who possibly could own a sock store, so a soccer. You can put that together and see what that store would be called. So really clever things for adults to laugh at while the kids are just enjoying the Nisa singing and dancing in the cave.
Yeah, it's really funny because this is the kind of thing that, just like the Muppets or some other things that we had to watch growing up, we would have never put the two and two together when we were kids because, you know, you're innocent, you don't know that kind of thing. But if the adults have to be stuck watching this every night with their children, then you need to have some entertainment for them as well. So it's nice to have those high-level jokes for the adults.
Yeah, I'd say it's also fun because it's basically camp. Yeah. Like this is not high-level, highbrow entertainment. It's fun. Like the comedians break the fourth wall all the time. Like Gertrude, like the story too. There's only 3 actors basically in the whole thing, and they play.
Which took me like 5 episodes to actually figure out.
It's true. You didn't realize that Gertrude was.
No. So I thought it was a drag queen or something. I don't know.
Kind of is, but you know, Gertrude is paid by the same actor that plays one of the Nisa, so it's so over the top and funny with the voices and everything. It's camp comedy gold. I can totally see why it is something that kind of just hit everybody and said, this is ridiculous, but I love it, and it's kind of endured to this day. Yeah,
it's so funny. Like, I actually really relate to the Nisa because, like, Gunther, like, he speaks, you know, they speak all of them a little bit of Danish, but not that good because they were banished to America. So, you know, now they are now back in Denmark, and he's picking up a book throughout the gag is that he picks up the book and he goes, oh, it's på dansk. And, like, I can definitely relate because sometimes I pick up something and I can't figure out how to do it because it's in Danish and I need to have somebody help me. It's true. So I can't always read too good either. Yeah.
No, it's good fun.
Yeah, so all in all, we're having a lot of fun watching the Uula Calendar. I definitely understand why all of you have been recommending that we watch this and vlog this. It's been a really cool and cozy part of Christmas for us. And, you know, thank you so much for also watching our little Uula Calendar as we've dropped videos every day in December. We didn't even plan it that way, but it's kind of cool that we've been able to have our own little Uula Calendar.
Our little Uula Calendar. Every day something new for you to open up and enjoy.
And I almost feel like a kid at Christmas again because I'm getting to do it now here in Denmark. You know, I'm getting to do it. This is only my 5th Christmas, so it's kind of like being a 5-year-old and watching. You know, probably not as exciting as it was for all of you who are Danish that are watching this and did it as a kid. But it's really cool for us to get to do it now too.
Definitely. Well, but thank you for coming along on this journey with us on this Vlogmas Day 19. As always, make sure you give the video a like. Make sure you click the subscribe button so you can see when we have new videos drop, including tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And also hit the bell so you can be notified when they drop each day, like today, tomorrow, and the next day for Vlogmas. But thanks again for being on this journey with us. We're having a blast. Keep watching with us. And in the meantime, glædelig jul.
Valeu.